So, good morning, and happy to be here with you. And we now have a new, different nun on Bhikkhuni on the altar. And Patachara, as I mentioned, is a new statue that was here before that is still curing, still somehow drying out. So we started to crack. And its home is going to be down at the retreat center, at the Insight Retreat Center in Santa Cruz, where it's a little more humid and cooler conditions than Redwood City. And so we took it down there to kind of try to minimize the continued cracking of the wood. And so in her place, I put her elder in the monastic lineage, a woman named Mahapajapati, who was not only the first Buddhist nun, but was the one who requested from the Buddha the permission to be ordained as a nun, and therefore opened the doors for many, many women afterwards her to become Buddhist monastics, and Patachara was one of them. And I'll say a little more about this later, and maybe on Friday. So that's a little introduction to what you see here that's different. So one of the useful qualities for the ongoing and day in, day out, and breath in and breath out practice of meditation and Buddhism is a quality called resolve or determination. A quality that can easily lead us to the idea that we're supposed to strain and push and grit our teeth perhaps. But it's possible to be resolved, determined on being relaxed, determined on being peaceful. And so this idea that, and then it's kind of a built-in protection from the determination being a strain or a heavy work. But still, there's a real dedication, and I like the word dedication, a real dedication to something, that there's some strength behind that dedication. And one of the ways this is talked about I'll talk more about it later, but in the Buddhist tradition, in the early Buddhist tradition, is with the word that can mean in English to stand. And I take this to mean to take a stand, to really stand in your place, and to have your place be clear what that place is that we want to take a stand in, here in the present moment. And in mindfulness practice, we take a stand in offering, I use that word intentionally, offering our presence, our attention to our experience, our embodied experience of the present moment. And to take a stand in this present moment experience, not to be strained or not to have a heavy thing, but to really kind of a strength, a determination, a clarity. This is where I stand. This is the grounding for where my life will flow from. And this idea that our life can flow and arise out of this creative potential of really being present here is a very radically different way of living than those of us who sometimes live in our heads and in the future and in fantasy and planning and desires, and that's kind of the ground from which things come. So here we are in meditation for the next few minutes, and so to take a stand, metaphorically, to let yourself be rooted here. And so begin with your posture. And the posture is meant to be a physical expression, a way that we manifest physically a kind of devotion or dedication to being here, present, rooted, taking a stand in the present moment experience that our physical body shares with us in providing moment-to-moment attention, lived awareness, the lived experience that is so much supported by all the different ways the body experiences itself. And then to close your eyes, and if it's comfortable to close eyes, the eyes closed is also meant to be a reminder at taking this stand or taking this place. Taking, in Buddhism we sometimes talk about the kind of like they're taking our rightful place here, in this world, in this time. Yes, it's enough to be alive and rooted here. So closing our eyes, and then part of this ritual of resolve, determination, grounding here can be a loving and gentle taking of deeper breaths. Kind of like we're filling, as we breathe in deeply, we're filling out into the lived experience of the body. I like to think of the breathing as beginning in the very kind of core of our being and spreading out from there as we expand in the inhale. And then the exhale is a coming back to the center, to the core, returning. That we're letting go and returning to the place where we maybe are most centered or grounded physically. And then letting the breathing return to normal. And perhaps as you breathe in a normal way, to notice the activities, the energies of the mind as you breathe in, and as you exhale, to relax those activities of the mind. Let go of your thinking, or quiet your thinking. And then, as you exhale, perhaps letting go into the body. As you exhale, relaxing the body. Relaxing the muscles of the face. Relaxing the shoulders. Relaxing the belly. And relaxing into the core of our being. And in a gentle and loving way, allow your immediate physical embodied experience to be the place of grounding, place where you stand. A kind of gentle determination and resolve. Don't mind if you wander off. just on the next exhale, reestablish yourself here in this experience, content to do so for however long the momentum of the present moment awareness goes, and then do it again, here, now. one of the sayings for meditation practice, descriptions of the practice, is to be still and gaze upon everything kindly. Be still and gaze upon everything kindly, where the idea of everything is central to this little saying. And everything includes the world around us. And I hope that as we learn to deepen, develop our meditation practice, that we're learning the ability to have a stand or be rooted in a place of attention, in a place of clear mindfulness that's not easily pushed around, not easily agitated. And in this stand, this mindful stand, that our care, our kindness, extends outwards in all directions. And then meditation practice itself as a support for being in the world caringly, kindly, compassionately. And at the end of all kind of Buddhist events, practices, there's a custom to do a dedication of merit, which I translate as being actively considering how the benefits that we received from the practice can be shared with others. How the benefits of how we practice can be turned outwards for the welfare and happiness of all beings. Maybe in small ways that we treat others more kindly, care for others compassionately. And this is an important part of the practice because it's the way of discovering that our inner peace and inner freedom can only remain peaceful and free if in fact we are open-hearted, compassionate, and looking kindly on the world around us. Because the alternative is in some ways to shut down or close off or be preoccupied. So may the benefits of our practice today spread from us out into the people we have contact with, our neighborhoods, our towns, out across the lands, with the aspiration, dedication, that may all beings be happy, may all beings be healthy, may all beings be peaceful, may all beings be free. So as I said before the meditation, we have now on the IMC altar Mahapajapati, and who was the foster mother of the Buddha. Buddha's mother died when he was a baby, and so his aunt, Mahapajapati, raised him, and at least the early years of his life. And then at some point, she became determined to be ordained as a monastic, and took a long trek by foot across northern India to where the Buddha was, with an entourage of other women from their home country who wanted to be ordained, and requested the ordination. And it took a little bit of time, and then at some point the Buddha agreed, and she's considered the founder of the nuns order. And we have this wonderful statue here at IMC that was made for us about 20 years, almost 20 years ago. I'm happy to have it here to share it with you. And I thought that that maybe on Friday, after it's 7:45, we can, those of you who'd like to, we can have a community meeting for those of us who participate in this 7 a.m. sitting, early morning sitting, on Zoom. And I'll provide the Zoom link and stuff. And I can tell you a little bit more about Mahapajapati, and also the history of Mahapajapati, the statue here, and how this wonderful story of how we installed it, and a variety of things that we've done around Mahapajapati here. It's a story I like to tell, and then we can maybe answer some questions about anything at all, and maybe also we can do some 10-minute breakout groups, so some of you can have groups of 4 or 5 and meet each other and talk about, it's nice to have connection, talk about the Dharma, your practice. And maybe we'll do that for about 45 minutes, and maybe until about 8:30 or so. So I'll say more about that and more information later. So here we're at the 8th parami, the 8th perfection, which is often translated into English as resolve or determination. And these are wonderful qualities. They're qualities of strength, and tapping into our capacity for personal strength and living from that strength is one of the great blessings of life. And I think sometimes it's said some people are afraid of their own strength quite a bit. Sometimes because they're afraid they're going to hurt people. Sometimes they're afraid they're going to be hurt if they live in a strong way. And sometimes the idea is to maybe live kind of in the shadows or in the side or not so central, so we're not so easily threatened by things. But to be able to take our place and really feel like we here in a definitive way, and that we have a right to be here, and we're allowed to stand tall and straight and be valued and be a valuable person, I believe is one of the things that comes maybe slowly through meditation practice, because we start feeling over time through the mindfulness, as it gets more and more sensitive, that anything short of that, of not doing that, is a kind of suffering, is a kind of diminishment of ourselves, is a kind of limitation that just seems like, why bother? This is unfortunate to do that. And there's a kind of a growth of strength, of power. And so this 8th parami is building on all the others. So to have this expression of strength in the terms of resolve and determination is something that's been building slowly over time through having practiced generosity and ethics, renunciation, wisdom, effort or endeavoring, engagement, and then patience and truth. And with truth, as we connect to the truth more, what's really true, that is a basis, a healthy basis for determination, for being resolved. Now the Pali word for resolve or determination is adhitthana. And adi means something in this context, something like higher or special, and thana means to stand, to take a stand. So it's a higher stand. It's a higher taking a stand. I like this because it has a physical suggests a physical kind of component of this, where we kind of take a stand. We stand on our 2 feet firmly and strongly and maybe uprightly. We're really rooted in the place we're at. And so the strength of presence, of being here. And then what do we resolved on, determined on? I think in the course of cultivating these paramis, or cultivating mindfulness practice, over time it becomes clearer and clearer what is worthwhile being resolved on. That being resolved on buying the next latest technological device and spending a lot of time concerned about that is not a very valuable place to be really rooted and grounded and taking a stand. That we learn through practice that taking a stand in freedom, in our non-clinging and not clinging, taking a stand in the practice itself. Yes, being mindful is valuable. For some of us will feel it's one of the most valuable things we can do with our life, is to really be here and present in a mindful, clear way. And that's a valuable place to take a stand, and much more important than many of the experiences that we're searching for in life, or acquisitions, or things we might want of material goods, or relationships, or jobs, or something. There's something very significant about being rooted or grounded in mindfulness as a high value. The Buddha gave 4 different things that he emphasized that a wise person would be resolved in. Take a stand in, his higher stand. And it's an interesting list. They are wisdom, truth, letting go, and peace. So to be resolved on being wise. And here, I think it gets very interesting because of the definition the Buddha gives for what it is to be a wise person. A wise person, the Buddha said, is someone who's concerned for the welfare of self, the welfare of others, the welfare of self and others, and the welfare of the whole world. So to take a stand in being wise is not to take a stand in some, read a book and some knowledge about Buddhism, but is from this, what's growing and growing through practice, this real experiential reference point of what is harm and what is welfare, what is suffering and what is happiness. And to have a clear sense of that and be inspired, this is valuable. That to not suffer, to not harm oneself, to not harm others, but the opposite is to be concerned for the welfare of others. That's a place, and self. It's important, this idea of self and other, they're all included. That's like 360 degree, the gazing upon the world with care is all inclusive, that includes ourselves. And that's why it can grow and develop and become a strength, because we're including ourselves in our own personal growth and development in the process, our own freedom. So take a stand on wisdom, to take a stand on truth. And that has many meanings I talked about yesterday. But truth can mean just being truthful and honest. It can also be taking a stand on the truth of the Four Noble Truths. And here also we have this very central Buddhist teaching that is not a propositional truth, but an experiential truth that comes clearly out of our experiential contact with suffering and the release from it, the possibility of not suffering, of letting go of whatever activities we're doing in the mind and the heart that is harmful for ourselves. And this very simple but profound and maybe difficult to acquire deep understanding of the nature of how we suffer, how we contract, how we limit ourselves, and how we can release all that and be free, to take a stand on those truths. These are the truth. This is the orientation. This is the perspective on life which is valuable. And then the third is letting go. And the word, it's interesting, the word chaga, that's here often translated as relinquishment, also has the meaning of giving, of generosity. And I love this connection because sometimes the idea of letting go or relinquishment in English can seem like bad news. Like here Buddhism is saying just one more thing I have to let go of and I become less and less. But it's actually can be seen as an act of generosity to let go of our attachments. The act of generosity to let go, to give away, not to anyone, but just to let go of the ways in which we limit ourselves and are caught in ideas and identities and all kinds of things which we feel the limitation, we feel the suffering. And to relinquish that, to let go, to take a stand in freedom is to take a stand in relinquishment and letting go. And then the final one is take a stand in peace. And this word upasama is often considered synonymous with awakening itself, and it's one of the positive ways the Buddha talks about awakening is that it's a form of profound peace, and to take a stand on that peace, to value it, to love it, to be connected to it, to take a stand in it, in my mind, means that we don't sacrifice it for things for which it's for anything that diminishes or belittles or causes us to lose that peace and therefore suffer. To have such a clear sense of peace that's a reference point that this is helpful, this is valuable, anything else is a loss. And then to learn that from that peace, with that peace, to live a full life, to be engaged in the world in a great, wonderful way, but without losing that some sense, some reference point to that peace. It's easier said than done. All these things are easier said than done, all these four resolves, and they're resolves because they're not easy to do. But at some point, we have a very clear, hopefully at some point in practice, a very clear sense that these are worthwhile places to be committed to be determined on, to love and be practice and bring forth and take a stand on, to stand with them. And so that they can grow further, so that we don't sacrifice, give them up easily. So the value of determination is so we can stay close to something that's valuable, that we have discovered for ourselves over the time that we've practiced. And then with that determination, or that taking a stand, then those things can grow and develop further and further and further, until such a point that maybe resolve or determination are not needed, because it's become who we are. We are peace. We are wisdom. We are truth. We are, I don't know if we are letting go, but we've let go. So determination is one of the higher now paramis that the practice comes to at some point. So thank you very much, and I look forward to our time tomorrow, and I hope that in these next 24 hours that you will consider this topic of determination, resolve, taking a stand, commitment. Maybe you'll have a better word for yourself than any of these words I've offering here today. But anything that I said today resonates with you, and what is it that you can be more committed to, dedicated to? What is it that you know that's worthwhile taking a stand in, so that you don't easily lose it, but you live that way in your life? So please reflect on this and discuss it and write about it, and that'll be a preparation for tomorrow. Thank you.